Pleasant day to all of you. We now go to this session about trauma-informed responses. So at the end of this session, the participant should be able to determine more effective positive responses to difficult behaviors when interacting with survivors. So when we talk about trauma-informed responses, it is important to be very critical in developing and maintaining an environment that advocates healing and recovery. And we could do this by using trauma-informed responses. We understand that all behaviors could have different meanings, and all behaviors have meaning. So when the service provider responds in a trauma-informed way, the survivor is empowered and the recovery is supported, and we give them hope, and also we foster healing. So when we talk about trauma-informed responses, these are actions and conscious inactions that are helpful in enhancing the likelihood that the person will choose behaviors which are personally fulfilling, productive, and socially acceptable. An important guide in doing this is to encourage good behavior and engage them with difficult behaviors in such a way that they learn better ways of dealing with difficult situations or emotions. So what are these? Okay, so let us enumerate them one by one. First, whenever or wherever possible, ignore challenging behavior and concentrate on appropriate behavior. Catch the survivor doing something positive and praise. Giving attention to good responses may actually encourage the survivor to do the same more often. And so the bad behavior can actually be extinct by doing this. 2, reinforce positive behavior by reward. And reward doesn't mean money. Okay? It means awarding the survivor with attention and appreciation. Things that are not expensive, and basically the things that they could use in order to help them develop better or to become more mature. 3, criticize the behavior and not the person. So when we do this, we separate the person from the behavior. We actually do not damage the person's self-esteem. We actually regard the person, and the person will understand that they are separate from the behavior. So when we do this, it helps the child or the survivor with self-esteem and allows them to see themselves as separate from the behavior. Next is 4, creating opportunities for learning. We know that when we talk about resiliency, this is one of the things that is recommended, that we create activities that would help the survivor, and we catch the moment when it is important, or there is an opportunity for learning for the child. But we also make sure that when we create opportunities, they are appropriate for the child. They are developmentally appropriate. Next is being consistent. Consistency fosters habits and makes the survivor feel secure, especially when rules are properly enforced. And so when they are consistent, when one is consistent with the way we deal with them, they expect it and they will follow. And also they have a role model about being consistent. We also use distraction before the situation escalate. So sometimes we distract the survivor in situations when there is an escalation of emotion. So the attention by doing this can be diverted to avoid high levels of conflict and emotions. 7, we should be clear about what is expected and what will happen. So we have to be clear with what we expect according to the child's level and observe limits, and also foster a sense of safety and security when the survivor is aware of what is happening. So that means we also tell them so that they are not shocked, or they could also adjust accordingly. And by doing this, we are actually saying that they are important. Using positive phrasing. So we know when we are very positive, it is actually the tone, it is also our words. And when these are positive, it helps the self-esteem of the survivor. Next is be equally fair to all survivors by allowing each the opportunity to tell their story. So we deal with a lot of survivors. So each of them, we give them a chance, especially when we do group session, to tell their story. Individually, we listen to the survivor, what the survivor has to say. Sometimes we are in a hurry, but we really have to listen and make time to listen to their story before making a conclusion or response, because it might be presumptive. So it is important to see the end, because sometimes there are reasons that we judge them, when in effect, when we hear the whole story, we make a different conclusion. Next is give good and positive messages. So we take notice more of the good things that the survivor is doing, and making a positive comment to build on their self-esteem. Instead of looking at the negative messages, we strive to look more at positive messages. We also allow the survivor to take responsibility for some task and the well-being of others. This way, they will believe in themselves, and it will add to their sense of achievement and importance. You also have to increase the survivor's sense of control. You know, when there is a sense of control, it actually helps in terms of how they believe that they can do it. So including the survivor in making decisions can give them some sense of control and feeling that they are important and that they could actually do it. Listen. Okay, so listen and show empathy with the feelings and thoughts of the survivor. So even if what the survivor feels is not in keeping with what you have in mind, it helps to show that you are listening and showing empathy. So how do we show empathy? We say we understand how they feel, and we're able to do the other techniques like restating what they have said, so that we show that we are actually listening and that we are showing that we feel for them. Engage the child in positive time in. Okay, so some say time out, but regardless, the process includes being with the survivor at all times and making sure that they are not isolated when there is a need to have space on their own. So sometimes they may want to be on their own, but we want to make sure that they are safe and that somebody is with them. Even if they are not very near, at least somebody is monitoring how they are. And this way, we engage the child in positive time for themselves. Okay. And then we have to set fair expectations, and according to their development or age. We should have realistic expectations according to the circumstances and the age level of the child. We also use humor to diffuse situation. You know, Filipinos are known for having sense of humor. And so with children, the survivor, we can also use this if it is appropriate, and it may actually help in diffusing tension. Warning is it should not in any way affect the survivor negatively, meaning it will add to their confusion or feeling that they are being ridiculed or humiliated or belittled. So when we use humor, it has to be appropriate and not to, respond or give a message of negativity to the child. Well, we are human, so we need to apologize if we realize that we made a mistake. Correcting the mistake and apologizing shows that We too could make mistakes, and there are lessons to learn from mistakes, and that we recognize it when there is something wrong. So it is important to do that when it is necessary. If one can't be calm, please excuse yourself or take time out and do relaxation techniques. It is always important when we deal with survivors to maintain composure, show the survivor how to deal with overwhelming situations, because that is what they will learn from us. And one of the ways by which the survivor could learn is when we do our time out, our own time out, and they will see it and they are going to do the same. And it is also important for us to sometimes take a deep breath, and then we can do it together with the survivor. Okay, so that is all for that module, and thank you very much.